I asked a question to one of the guides that take the tourists in and out the ruins and explaining about the Maya. I asked him, "Sir, do you mind if I ask a question?" He said, "No." "What did the Maya eat?" A lady who was part of the tour, the group, jumped up and said, "Corn, of course." The man looked at me and looked at the lady and said, "Lady, if the Maya ate corn, this man here would not have asked that question. He would have known that. So there is something about that corn that we have to question."
Oh, no.
Then he turned back to me and he said, "What did they eat?" I said, I could begin with the teosinte, the cablote, the chipiling. These are natural green that grows in the forests of Honduras. Natural green that grows in the forest. The teosinte is a plant that produces a kernel that looks like a corn, but the difference is it is non-starch. They make the tamales from the teosinte, and they make the chipiling in it, which is a green, and they make these tamales, and they still do it in Santa Rosa de Copan. And when you all come to Honduras, I will introduce you guys to these tamales. That's right, all natural. The Maya did not eat corn, rice, beans, chicken, eggs, pork, cows. Why? Because these things did not exist in Honduras when Christopher Columbus came. They only ate those things that were natural. But the guide knew that he didn't know what the Maya ate. And how many Africans in Africa knows what their ancestors ate? They don't know. What does the African eat today? Rice. That's all they have. And rice is a poison.
Chicken.
Not only is it starch, and it is because it contains, and it converts into carbonic acid, but it contains cyanide.
Well, how is it those little, I was going to say something wrong here. Burmese people, like Chinese, Japanese, them people, how they eat it every day?
Well, what about that? Because they eat it every day. Are they the healthiest people on the planet? No. You never seen a Chinese or a Japanese walk straight. His spine just cannot hold up straight. He always walks with a drop in his spine. He just can't do it. He eats nothing but starch. The Chinese should give credit, and a lot of credit, to the Italian that went down there. What is his name? Marco Polo. Because at least he took them the wheat kernel that they could make their noodles. Before this man, what is his name? The Italian Marco Polo, Chinese could make noodles.
So what about their Buddhist monks or whatever, Confucius? But they were still eating the same poison?
What else do they have to eat? There's only one man came out of China that understood that. Was Dr. Li Cheng Fu. Dr. Li didn't eat anything that grew under the ground. No, he didn't. He just didn't do that. And Dr. Li, according to the history, lived 125 years. You see? 165 years. And he died here in New York. Or it was recorded in New York. He died in China. But he was a Chinaman that I respect. Like when I go to India, I talk to Raja Gopalachari. He's a friend of mine who lives in Calcutta. And he looked at all the Indians and said they all are dead. I said, why? Look at what they eat. I said the same I say about Africa. That's why there isn't one African leader that I respect. I can't respect any African leaders. Because I know his head is confounded. Why? Because look at what he eats.
Is fish good?
Fish rots in the intestines.
Oh. That's where the worms go.
Exactly right. Anything that walk, crawls, swim, or fly, and that has a head, it should not enter my system.
It should have a face. That's Phil Valentine says that. Anything that has a face, leave it alone.
But he does worse than that. Because he recommends things that are more acid than that which you eat that have a head.
Speaking of that, Dr. Sebi, I want to ask you some questions. My name is Marcus Scott Lewis. I'm just a humble, burned out, recovering activist, writer, and poet. And the questions I would like to ask is, with this new age movement out here, with all these European herbologists and all these writers, do you wouldn't recommend any of these books or any of these teachings? Now everyone's going back to nature, quote unquote, and heading to all these herbology stores and buying all these products and things. Our people are still confused because of lack of the correct information and misinformation which we receive. So could you give us a little starter on what we should be doing and what things we need to stay away from?
Heading to the forest.
All right.
Heading to the forest with someone that came from the forest that we have not had. Because some of the best advisors in the United States, counselors, nutritionists, and doctors, trained our brother by the name of Dick Gregory.
All right now. Well,
did he recommend the Bahamian diet? The answer is yes. And what did the Bahamian diet consist of as a base? Soybean. And didn't Mr. George Washington Carver made plastics out of soybean? Yes. So how could he give us the Bahamian diet that is soybean based in the name of nutrition? But we cannot blame Dick Gregory, because he's our brother that I know he loves us and we love him. But he was ill trained. The student could only regurgitate that which was learned from the teacher. And if the teacher is poorly educated, then the student likewise.
Well, do you think you could start teaching us more now that you've... she wants to ask you a question too, but I want to get this in real quick. In that you are a teacher, and I look at one of your old tapes, and I saw how you talked about the carrot and different things, even certain potatoes, I think. And the sweet potatoes is all right, but the white potatoes is not any good.
No, I didn't say that sweet potato was all right. That was made too.
But there's a certain kind of...
the red potato, the red rose that was found in Lake Titicaca in Peru. That is where the Irish people became acquainted and took it back to Ireland. Because remember, the Irish people were the first to go to Peru. They did a lot of research in Peru, and they did a lot of things in Peru. And when they found this potato, they took it back to Ireland, and they began to hybridize the potato and get what you call the russet potato, the red rose. But the natural potato looked like the red rose. The red rose, I would recommend that you eat that because it's the first generation away from the mother, from the base, which came from Lake Titicaca. Not a sweet potato. A sweet potato has such a high concentration of nitrogen that it would really play havoc on the system.
Have you written a book?
No, I'm writing one up. It's right in that bag.
Oh, okay, good. So when it's finished, when you take it out the bag, I want to read it.
The bag has these tapes that need to be transcribed.
Oh, okay.
And it would be transcribed as soon as possible to be put into book form, because the book is needed. We have been misled not only by the foreigners that are not part of our race, that dictates to us and tell us what we should and should not eat, but we were also hoodwinked by our brothers that was trained by those people.
Well.
The gorilla does not eat the food of a lion, but the black race eat the food of a lion.
True.
So we can't eat Chinese food.
Well,
We